Hey, I'm Dave. This is Brent. We're talking about technology resistors today. We've been doing blogs for a number of years, and we're trying a new format. So let's see how this goes. We're just going to kind of dive right in, share some great stuff with you on business and technology change today. So technology resistors, we all have them. Every organization has them, right? So how do you go about handling as you move through technology change to handle people that are resistant to that change? So we're going to kind of dive into a little bit of that today. What are some of your thoughts on getting that started, Brent?
Yeah, that's great. So technology resistors, like Dave said, we all have them. Sometimes they're us. Sometimes there are people that have been in the business a long time that, anything new comes up, anytime there's a change that comes up around a business system, they are the last one to get on board. They're the one that find every issue possible, why we can't do that or shouldn't do that, or why it's bad for the company, or they're the ones that, I hate to say it, but sometimes you feel like they're kind of sabotaging the progress, and usually that's just throwing the timelines under the bus, or just overcomplicating every small little decision that needs to be made. It happens all the time. We see it all the time. But they're real and they exist. And typically, in any organization, when you're trying to do something new and trying to move forward, they're the ones that kind of stop everything, and they're the ones that really hurt that forward progress. So they're there.
I think what's so critical about that is technology and business today changes so fast, right? There's new technology, new changes, new regulation, new innovation that organizations are trying to achieve all the time. And it seems like it just keeps getting faster and faster, right? More stuff's coming, more changes coming. How do you keep up with it? And every time you're trying to roll out something new, if you're feeling as an organization dreading it because you know you're going to have to go through that pain of change, or you're going to have to handle people that are dragging it down and resisting. So some of the things, maybe we can kind of talk a little bit about some of the things we try to help our clients with as it relates to change. I know one of the biggest things I think we try to start off with is communication, and that's all about telling them the why, right? Why are we doing this? What's the benefit to the organization? What's the benefit to them as an individual? How they're going to get their work done more effectively, efficiently? How it changes client experience, all those kind of things, helping them understand the why.
Yeah, a lot of that comes down to, and change resistance is not necessarily related to just technology, it's related to pretty much any change within an organization. And some of that has to do with people's sense of value within the organization, and what they're providing to the company is associated to the why of the company. Where we're going, what we're doing, how we're getting there. And if there's a disconnect there, and their value comes around the task that they're performing, the simple system that they know how to use and what they're doing repetitively, if their value is associated with that, they're going to hate any new system you put in place, because you've basically just taken their sense of value away from them. And now they don't know, in this new future that you're creating for them, that they didn't get a vote in, how are they going to be successful in the organization? So sometimes when you can focus the why of the organization on what we're trying to do collectively, that small task list that they're responsible for becomes somewhat irrelevant, as long as what they're delivering is helping to get towards the vision of the company and where they're going. So that's a really big issue to solve, and that's in any company with any change, not just technology, but it does play a role in technology as well.
Yeah, I think some of the other things you can be talking about with them is understanding how their role may adjust and asking them for help, right? So if you're engaging with them and helping them to understand this change and how it's important and how they can help the organization move forward with it, and have an ask, right? Ask them to get engaged and help them move the organization forward on that. I think then they feel like they're kind of a part of it, they're valued, and that change is going to be important for the organization and for them too.
Yeah, I agree. Buy-in's huge, and buy-in is hard to achieve when you are just telling people exactly what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Buy-in is a process where you have to show a little bit of empathy. You have to understand their situation, understand their challenges, their problems, really feel kind of what is creating the barrier for them to want to move forward. There are going to be some people that, no matter what, are going to be resistant to change. No matter how much buy-in you try to get, you got to keep your eye out for that. But for the most part, people just want to know that they're a part of the process. They're helping to make the system better, and that's all about buy-in. If you can get that communication around what you're doing, you can understand their challenges, you can understand how they can be more effective with their job and their responsibilities. That really helps the process when they become part of the team to implement some of these changes.
I think the other thing is, in terms of moving the tech resistors or change resistors along with whatever the change is going to be, is having a communication plan and approach, right? So it's not just about one communication, we're making this change, go, right? It's a series of communications that warm them up and take them through the process. You're repeating a lot of that information as well, but you're starting at a very high level, and as it goes along, you get a little bit more granular as to specifically what it's going to mean for them, right? So you're engaging them with the why, and then you're leading them through the whole process to the point where they're you probably feel like you've communicated it so many times that it must be so repetitive for them, but the reality of it is the amount of information that people are seeing as part of that process is one that they don't feel that it's been over communicated. That's probably more on the person doing all the communicating.
Right. I would say that probably the last, well, there's probably a million tips, but the last big one for us when we're trying to get a company to adopt a new system or a new process even, is giving some victories. In every change, you can imagine a J. There's this change curve that happens where you start at the point where everything is today, and the top of the other side of the J is where it's going to be tomorrow. And most visionaries and leaders and CEOs only see the good and kind of see where we're going to be and where we're going to go. But the reality of that change is that there's a big downward stroke that happens where there's a lot of issues and problems and challenges and training. And if you can try to lower that swoop on the J curve by, again, creating some schedules, creating some communication, telling people what we're doing, but in small chunks, giving them little victories along the way. So a little win here, little win here, little win here. What it does is it gives them motivation to continue through that path, because it will be challenging, it will be hard, it will go downward anytime there's a change, but it will get up to the top of that other side of the J where the systems are performing either more efficiently or better, whatever the reason you went down that path in the first place was. So those victories mean a lot.
Yeah, and I think the way you communicate too, right? So even the mediums you use. So we've got some clients that are very email centric, and they're like, if it comes with email, their culture is such that that's like the gold standard for how they operate. Others are, no, we got to collect people, we got to get them in rooms, we got to talk to them about it, we got to put billboards up in the break rooms, we've got to send voicemail messages. You got to hit them from 5 different ways to get them to move and understand where we're going, and we're serious about moving there, and this is why we're going to go do it. So finding ways to help them understand what that message is and getting it out in different ways is critical for every client too.
I agree. But, end of the day, change is inevitable. It's going to happen. Every week, every month, every year, new systems are coming out and are forcing businesses to move kind of along that path of technical advancement. So it's going to happen, and you have to address it. And I think hopefully these tips can kind of help address it. But sometimes it's a heart-to-heart conversation with the company, saying that these are coming up, this is what we're doing, this is the direction, and try to get that buy-in early before you start to see some of these changes.